Hello YouTube, we are live again and back for the second part of the 50 caliber machine gun barrel EDC build. Previously I've done a couple pyramids, did one tomahawk. Tomahawk didn't turn out as great as what I was hoping it would, but now we are doing EDCs. Now with the EDCs, everyday carry knives, what do we have? Well, I'm going for something simple, scale tang, and I don't know that I'm going to add any scales to the tang. Being a chromoly, it should be reasonably easy to drill, and in that case, why wouldn't I just skeletonize it? It's a possibility. We're going to see how things go here. So in the previous video, I was essentially processing the barrel down into usable stock. I am doing this in my shop, so when someone comes in, I've basically got to end the video and do another part. But I started drawing that stock out into some knife blanks. Now you may be able to see on the side there that that strip that runs down the middle, and that's remnants of the rifling. So now I'm going to start forging these into reasonable blades and do some normalizing. From there, it'll be grinding, and it's going to be finishing. So let's see what we can do here. Guys, if you haven't liked and subscribed yet, please subscribe to the channel, tell your friends, share it out on social media. I can appreciate all the help I can get. There's a damn gnat right there. So now as I'm letting that forge come up to temperature, I'm going to go ahead and get at least one of these in. Now I could grind from this point and see what I can make out of this, but you know, I think what I'm going to do, we're going to forge it as much as we can. You can also see me on Forged to Fire, Season 4, Episode 2, Deerhorn Knives. You can see me on Master of Arms on Discovery, Season 1, Episode 1, Flintlock Axe Pistol, kind of looks something like that. There's going to be some power hammer work. There's going to be some hand forging. This shouldn't take a whole lot of effort or time, realistically, because when it comes down to it, I've got my blank forged out. Now it comes to laying in those bevels and finalizing the shape, the contour, the profile of that particular knife. Okay, I'm going to be using my Trenton Tie straight peen hammer and an assortment of tongs as we go along here. May grab a different hammer, hell, we'll find out. I might use the power hammer. So my temp's starting to come up. It's going to take a little bit to get that forge completely up to temperature, but in the meantime, we're going to do some spot heating on this blade. Going to get in that sweet spot, and I'm going to start drawing those bevels out. Why grind when you can forge it? That's what I'm saying. If you got the ability to forge to shape, forge to shape. Of course, unless you're just doing a forge for effect. Here, I don't exactly have a pattern I'm going for. I'm looking for double-edged scale tang type construction with the options of adding scales, skeletonizing, possibly paracord wrapping. We're going to see what happens, okay? Well, here we go. I'm up to temp to where I can do a little bit of something here. Start forging out these bevels. And you can see that starts to raise the tip pretty quick. Now one thing I am going to do is I'm going to go to a different set of tongs, something that's going to hold just a little bit better. Might be right here. We're going to find out. So I'm going to come in here and start forging down the spine. see how that starts to form that drop point just a little bit better. Still got a lot of mass there, so why not forge it out some more? We can go over the power hammer and really thin it out. But when I think about this is machine gun barrel. We're looking at probably a chrome moly like a 4140 or a similar alloy. It's going to be more, lend itself more towards hammers and axes and grips and so forth. It's going to be durable, but not going to be the best shaving edge we're ever going to have, even though I'm sure we can make it shaving sharp. Well, thank you, Elliot. So, I'm going to go ahead and bring that blank out and start forging that bevel just a little bit more. Once more, if you haven't subscribed yet, be sure to subscribe to the channel. I'm going to go back to forging with my dominant hand, just so I get a little better control, but I like to forge with both hands because one, that keeps me balanced out so I don't want to end up with one arm a lot bigger than the other. Well, thank you, Robert Scaff. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and continue forging this and essentially forge two shapes. Whatever that shape is going to be, these are not going to be two matching, but they're going to be two independent, cool-looking knives. So in this case, I'm going to go ahead, come in here, and start forging. Start forging that down. I'm going to go back to non-dominant hand forging. Starting to put that bevel, putting that sweep in the blade. I'll turn it around and start working on that handle a bit. In which case, we'll be going to the power hammer. start refining this just a bit more. So going back to using my dominant hand. Start putting some curvature in that tank. Can't turn that enough. Here we go. Boys and girls, I think that's going to make a decent EDC right there. Now, I'm just going to check for straightness real quick, which is acceptable at this point. We're going into the forge, going to start normalizing. While that's coming up to temperature, let's start forging this one out some more. Got a nice even heat on that. It's a lot brighter on camera than what it is in real life, but into the vise it goes to air cool. I'm going to cycle that a few times, probably about 3 times. That's what I usually do. And then once it's cool, I'll start grinding on that piece. Going to be a bit longer. Alright, I'm going to bring this up to temp again. Now we need to start changing that profile. Alright, if you guys haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe to the channel. And we got more knife builds, tomahawk builds, how-to videos, sword and knife reviews, as well as some firearm reviews. Just fun stuff. these novelty? Are they functional? I think they're going to be a little bit of both. What would you guys like to see built? Should it drop? Should we do a shallow S-curve? It's got a shallow S-curve. I don't think it should be a shallow S-curve. I think that blade needs to drop. Now, the one I have here that I've just done my rather quick normalization. I'm going to let that cool. Then I'm going to start grinding on it. Okay, so I'm liking the way this is going. Why don't we put just a little more recurve into that, drop that tip a bit more. Here we go. As that profile changes, I may end up changing that design some. That's something that fortunately I have the ability to do. What designs do you guys like? You like recurves, you like tontos, you have a preference? Personal preference? Anybody? Go ahead and comment. Okay, this one's going to be a little more forged for effect, and what I can see right off is that I have way too much curvature in that handle for me to be comfortable with it. So, what's going to be happening next? Once I get that where I'm comfortable with it, I'm going to do the normalization process, and then I'm going to be going over to the grinder. I'm going to start working down some of these profiles, laying in some bevels, checking to see if there's any cold shuts, anything like that that need to be addressed. Once more, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, it's a great time to do that. guys. So that's just kind of almost like a French trade knife or something. Well, unless you guys really just want to watch me let that cool and everything, we'll go ahead and come over here to the grinder and start working. Now I've got an 80 grit zirconium belt that I got from Sean Ryan at Phoenix Abrasives. We're not going to be using that. We're actually going to go with a ceramic. This is a 50 grit ceramic. I don't need a 36 for what I'm doing, so we're going to use this 50. And I have it available, so there we go. I'm going to bet that I'm going to have to take some of that blade off, some of that tip, just because it's likely going to have, it's very thin on the end. I want to make that just a little bit stronger. So, here we are, down to the 2x72. We start our stock removal process. That thing. It's a decent profile. You can see the area where the rifling was in the barrel. I'm actually going to end up keep leaving that. At least for the most part. There it is. Next thing I'm going to do, I got my blade in for the second cycle for normalization. Bring that out. I'm going to put my that we were just grinding on. That's going to go into the forge. We're going to quench it. Stay tuned, people. That in, we're going to let it soak for just a little bit. That's going to allow alloying elements to go into solution before quenching, so we get a better result that way. Even as hot as it is here in the forge, the blades are cooling off pretty damn quick. Ideally, with a high carbon steel like 1095, 1080 is a bit more forgiving, but you get into like 1095, you get into 5160, you get into higher carbon and higher alloy steels, you need a longer soak period. Now, I'm looking at probably an 1/8 inch of steel here, so it's not just about penetration with heat into that particular blade, or that blade material. It comes down to also a time factor. So I want this blade to essentially get as hard as what it can get, and as a result, I'm going to try to soak it for a while. Yet, I don't want that blade to decarb too much because it's not a real high carbon steel. It's a high tensile, it's a high alloy, but it's not going to be that high carbon steel. So here we go. And I've got a clean blade. It is devoid of scale at the moment. It has also developed a warp. I know somebody's going to be like, oh my God, it broke it. I didn't break it. You got a short amount of time to straighten the blade as it comes out of the quench. And I think I still got that time. Well, it did straighten. Here's my profile. Still plenty warm. Going to put it in some canola just to pull a little more heat off of that. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, do it. Hell, you might see me break one. Is that Valyrian steel? No, but hell, if you believe it will, or that it is, and you buy it, sure, why not? Alright, so I've got one piece left. We're going to do some grinding on, and we're going to do heat treat on. Now, is it cool enough? I don't know. I want it down below 200 degrees before I dunk it in water to cool it off. And I think I'm pretty safe on that. Probably ought to be over here. Back to the grind. go, 50 grit ceramic. Got a nice looking design here. It almost looks like wrought iron, it really does. It's not, but... Okay, I'm thinking this is probably get towards the end of the belt life. Yeah, it is. So now I'm going to go to that 80 grit. That's not where I should go right now. But if I go with something too aggressive, what's going to happen is I'm going to end up with an extremely thin blade, and that's not what I want right now. Will there be a vacation? Perhaps, and hello from Russia. That is cool. We're in the US right here. Okay. you have it. This one's looking kind of neat. You are a thermos, very cool. So now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to heat this up. We're going to quench it. Guys, if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, please do so. It's a great opportunity to. And here's the first blade. I'm going to set it to the side and now it's going to have to go in for temper after tempering vacation. Yes. Yes, absolutely. I need to go to the lake is where I need to go right now because it is hot in here. Now, once more, it's a chromoly, probably 41 series steel or something similar. Doesn't have to soak for a real long time. Have it. It appears to be reasonably straight. I'm happy with that. All right, putting that into the vise. All right. Now I'm going to let that cool down, and then I guess I'm doing tempering. So, some cool pieces. I got a couple different ideas for them. Now this is the first one. This is kind of the shorter one. It has that shallow S sweep that will lend nicely to cutting that slicing motion. Not overly obtrusive. Much like doing a horseshoe knife where you have that channel down the center that gets forged together. We have a little bit of a cold shut right here, but that does not continue to the edge. So that should be good. This other one I really want to hold. I don't know if it's cool enough yet. It's still quite warm. I think it's safe to cool off. Let's find out. Yeah, it's good. Well below 200 degrees. So it was safe to continue cooling. And you see how this one has a more, almost like a French trade knife, frontier style. Thank you very much. 40 quid, are you mad? Is a hot dog a sandwich? Okay, am I mad? No, that's just how I naturally look. Bald, sexy, and pissed off. No, I'm actually quite happy. I can't see worth a damn. And then, let's see, is a hot dog a sandwich? Albino rhino. These are the questions that keep me up at night. No, they really don't, actually. Do I believe a hot dog to be a sandwich? I believe a hot dog to be a sandwich along the same lines as a taco or burrito being a sandwich. Because you're taking the bread product and you're wrapping it around versus putting it in between two pieces. Now, if the hot dog bun was two pieces and you put it together, then essentially I guess it's a sandwich, but it doesn't work too well that way. Okay, so any more questions? Behind the... don't quite get you on that, but okay. But I think that's going to make for a decent looking knife right there. You know, since they're cool enough, something I could do, I could clean these up a little bit with a surface conditioner, and they'll show up a little better on camera. Once more, I'm going to plug the channel and say, hey, subscribe. Now those blades are hardened, but how hard are they? That is a good question. Had to get through my surface conditioners, and I'll see if I can do this without it jumping off the machine. Alright, so the first blade, I'm going to go ahead and clean that down. It's not terrible. Okay, let's set that one to the side. We're going to go into our second blade here. All right, guys. So now I'm gonna move. A stool over here so that I can sit down, and let's talk about these. All right. Okay. Once more, if you haven't liked and subscribed, it's subscribe to the channel. It's a great opportunity to do so now. Now these are forged from 50 caliber machine gun barrels. Now this particular piece is a shorter blade. Now on the opposite side is where you're going to see remnants of the rifling, and that comes right down the center of the blade. Looks kind of cool. And then it's forged together at the tip, but it does not really continue to the edge. So I believe that will be okay for this piece. When I clean it up, I'll refine that edge some more, and we'll take that down, sharpen it up, and might do a paracord wrap. I'm thinking paracord could be cool on this. Second one, more of a French trade knife style. It reminds me of something I would see at Frontier reenactment. And it has a longer blade. Could be used for table use, or in the kitchen or whatever. Once more, remnants of the rifling down the center of the blade coming out to the tip, but not continuing to the edge. So pretty happy with that. These are for a friend of mine who supplied the material. And I hope he got to see some of this and has an idea about what's coming about. Just to give you an idea about how this build has went, and it's been several builds. It's been 3 different builds. My first build, which actually resulted in my third build, was to make in essence, a tomahawk. And I used one of the Atlas knife and tool railroad spikes that are 1078 steel, almost 1080, and welded that in here. It did not weld up real great. I had to use a lot of filler rod. I'm not extremely confident in this piece, but I believe that it's going to, handled up, it's going to do what it does, and what it's supposed to do. It does have a spike here. I'm hoping that spike is quite solid. And so essentially we have a higher chromium, like a chrome moly jacket over high carbon steel. I tried that with the second piece. It didn't work. That core is right here with an unusual green tinge to it, which makes me think either chromium or copper, or it could be both. It really doesn't look like copper. but this actually has remnants of the rifling forged into because I had this inside of the rifle barrel. All right. Well, let's see what else we have. There were the outer cladding became these two EDCs, which will be tempered shortly. But on the second build, we've got a second build. We got the first to third, so that means a second. You're handsome. Keep going. Thank you very much. That makes me feel pretty. I appreciate that. The second build were these two cool karambits with striking points. So, yeah. And these are just integral, so... They're kind of neat. And these also exhibit that line down the side from the machine gun barrel, or the 50 caliber barrel. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to clean these up. I'm going to try to get some sheaths made. I'm going to clean this up. I will have to find out what I should do with that, really. This still actually has some borax, a glassy lump right there. That's borax, that's flux. That chips off there. So that needs cleaned up. And then these two blades that were just finished out on camera here. Guys, these are going in for temper. If you haven't liked and subscribed to the channel, please do. You can also see me on Forged and Fire Season 4, Episode 2, Deerhorn Knives. You can see me on Master of Arms, the Flintlock Axe Pistol. We only ran one season of that on Discovery. Message Discovery, say, hey, bring it back. You want to see Dustin make more cool shit like that. Guys, we'll catch you in just a few. Check out Forge of Memory and Forge of Memory Family. We'll see you in a bit. There'll be more videos. Later.